My wife and I rented our home out, this one that I'm currently inside, this summer, and not only did we pay our entire yearly mortgage, we actually put 5 figures in the bank. This is our third summer renting our home out, and it has proven to be extremely lucrative. However, it wasn't always sunshine and rainbows, and before I go into detail on how much we've made each of these last few years, you need to understand that the income we're producing stems from decisions we made 4 years ago. Renting out our home isn't something that we just stumbled upon. While this is our full-time residence, we bought this almost 4 years ago with the intention of renting it out during the summertime. It was at the very top of our budget and needed a crazy amount of work. The roof was actively leaking, the yard hadn't been maintained in 3 years, and the entire house needed an update. We tore basically the whole place down to studs. New kitchen, new bathroom, full house flooring, a bunch of new drywall, and we attacked the jungle of a backyard. We literally touched every square inch of this home. We did all the work ourselves to save on renovation costs, but we still drained our bank account heading into year number 1. Luckily, it was time for us to execute our plan of renting our home to get some money back. We put up a wall in the basement so that guests only had access to the laundry room. We turned our garage into a full-blown game room, and we spent hours studying how to be Airbnb hosts. In order to legally rent this house out in our township, we had to get a short-term rental license, and we also talked to our insurance agent to increase our liability insurance in the event that a guest got hurt. In preparation for renting it out, we created a guest book and bought duplicates of everything guests would need during their stay. 3 sets of towels, 3 sets of linens, and multiples of all the perishables like coffee, soaps, and trash bags. Having duplicates of each item allows the cleaners to turn the house over quickly. On days when guests check out at 11 and the next people check in at 4, it's absolutely essential that the cleaners can turn around the house really fast. We wanted to make sure we stood out against all the other competition, so we hired a professional real estate photographer to take pictures of our home. While this is a $300 to $500 expense, it's absolutely a non-negotiable if you want to make great revenue on your house. Now that you know what it took to get to this point, let's dive into the numbers. I'm going to go over the last 3 years in detail, including things like occupancy rate, how many days we offered our home to be rented on the market, and of course, how much revenue we brought in. So that you can have an idea for actual profit margins, let's take a look at the expenses that it costs us to own this home. Our monthly mortgage payment comes in at just under $1,900. We have our taxes and insurance escrowed, so that means that payment includes both of those items. Now this next part is where we have a huge advantage renting our home out. In Michigan, we have homestead and non-homestead taxes. So taxes on a primary house, one that you live at for more than 6 months of the year, are significantly cheaper than investment properties or second homes. According to the state of Michigan property tax estimator, it would cost me $4,090 more per year if this wasn't my primary house. The reason I say this is an advantage because I know with those numbers that it would cost an investor $340 more per month just in taxes alone to operate this place. We also have the advantage of a lower interest rate on this property than if we were to buy it as a second home or investment property. I've seen 2 buyers get approved for the same house through the same exact lender. One of them was going to live in it, the other one was going to use it as an investment property, and the interest rate difference was nearly 2% higher for the investor. The reason I bring all this up is because there are great advantages and benefits to renting out your primary house, and because you clicked on this video, I'm assuming you might be thinking about it. I highly encourage you to try it out. It definitely isn't easy, but it is worth it. On top of our $1,900 mortgage, we also spend about $300 a month average in utilities. That brings our monthly total expenses to $2,200 and the total yearly expenses to $26,400. Now that we know all the expenses, let's look at the yearly revenue we've brought in over the last few years. 2022 was the first summer we rented our home, and because the renovation wasn't finished in time, we weren't able to open it up for bookings until July 2nd. This is obviously not ideal as we live in Traverse City, Michigan, which is a big vacation town, and the majority of the tourists visit during the summertime. Not only did we miss all of June, we also didn't have the calendar open until July, so we had to drastically lower our prices in hopes of attracting people to stay at the house. We ended up having the house available for rent from July 2nd until the 3rd week in September. The first summer still ended up being extremely lucrative, and we ended up making $27,732 in just 3 months. We paid our cleaners just under $3,000 that summer, which brings our total to $25,000. While we did technically miss our mark of $26,400, we still couldn't have been more excited that first summer. This essentially meant that we got to live in our house for 9 months of the year and only paid $1,400 to do so. Summer of 2023 brought a different story. Because we had the listing ready to go and the renovation was already complete, we were able to open bookings for June, July, and August. With those months open on our calendar, we started getting bookings for summer stays in January of that year. We moved out the last weekend of May and moved back in the first weekend of September. These 3 months in 2023 made us $40,783. The earnings for that summer absolutely blew our minds. Even with $4,000 in cleaning expenses, we still cleared $37,000 in just 3 months. Subtracting our annual expenses of $26,400, we not only got to live in this house for free for 9 months out of the year, we also got to profit $10,000. While the money is crazy good, it really isn't necessarily fun to move out of your home for the best part of the year. In 2024, we decided to only rent our house out from the middle of June to the 3rd week in August. While we did leave some of the best revenue making days on the table, we decided that we'd rather get to enjoy our house for a portion of the summer. That being said, we still brought in $29,728 this year. Once again, with the cleaning fees taken out, we are right at our break-even point, which means for a 3rd year in a row, we basically got to live in our house for free. I was really hesitating to put this out there, but I hope that this transparency helps you understand how lucrative it can be to rent out your primary residence, and maybe inspires people to take the chance to do that. If you're looking for a hybrid investment here in Traverse City, one that you can live in and rent out when you're not using it, whether that be a primary house or a secondary home, I'd love to get in connection with you. I am a full-time real estate agent here in Northern Michigan. You can book a call with me at kjsayer.com or shoot me a DM on Instagram at kjsayertc.